Welcome back to Walsall Fan TV. The joy and the pain. We are back. Finally, we've got to the last match of the season. Walsall at home to Doncaster, the Donny. And if we're talking about Doncaster, we need this guy, Chall. How you doing, Chall?
Hello, I am good. I'm the Chall, and it's great to be on Walsall Fan TV.
Hey, it's great to have you here, mate. Last time we spoke, if you recall, it was 2nd of December. Walsall came to Doncaster on a rich vein of form. We managed to beat you 2-0, and which put us 8th in the league, and you were 11th.
Yeah,
It's gone a bit Pete Tong since then, hasn't he?
you could definitely say that again. The win on Saturday stopped a rot of about one win in like 14, 15 games. It's been
1-0 Colchester, wasn't it? That's it.
Yeah, and to be fair to Colchester, they were a very physical side. They were a lot of route one over the top. They utilised the set pieces that they had very well. They put a couple over the bar. So I thought Colchester were a very physical side. We couldn't really handle them as much. I thought we were the better team overall, but I think we just edged it in terms of scoreline because I think Colchester on another day could have put a couple past us if we were weaker defensively.
Yeah, Walsall have got a similar run. 1 win in 21, I think it is now.
God.
Mike Flynn. Everybody liked Mike Flynn. And after we had a run at the start of the season, went to 13 without a win at the start of the season. And we had a fan chat. And it was like, he needs time. Give him time.
Yeah, that's exactly my message.
Then we had a purple patch. But 1 win in 21 and that sort of stuff, you can't get through that. It doesn't matter who you are.
No, and to be fair, the timing of the removal of Michael Flynn, I did agree with because I was as a neutral League Two fan, I was on about backing Flynn until a certain point. But like I said, once it gets to like 1 win in 21, it just got to a point where it was beyond reachable, even for someone like Flynn, who's got Newport to the playoffs that many times and knows how League Two operates and someone of that ilk and experience. And next season for Walsall is going to be very, very interesting in terms of who the next man is to try and get them back into the third division.
Yeah, I think the thing is with Mike Flynn, I think, and with a lot of managers really, once you get on a bad run, sometimes it's really difficult to pull out of it. And we had the same with Matt Taylor. He just couldn't get us out of the rut. But the thing is, there was deeper issues for me because the football was not great. It's like and I was sort of still in the Flynn keep camp. About 1 in 18, 1 win in 18, and on my channel. I had some comments from some Newport fans because I'd said, I think on the channel, well, he sorted the defence this season. He'll sort the attack next season, and we'll be okay. We'll have a proper go for it. And the Exiles fans were saying, you ain't got Mike Flynn because that is the way he plays. He plays very defensive, tries to nick a goal, and then sit on him. And
I think that kind of style suits the physicality of League Two, but I think when you've got managers now trying to play out from the back, when they're trying to play attacking football, even though that's not what League Two was founded on, it kind of causes that kind of mentality in football at all levels of, well, I want us to play like that and I won't accept anything other than that. So, and that's the kind of thing with Schofield in a way, and that's the kind of thing I've got with Rovers. It's the style of football at the moment doesn't matter this season because that will come next season, what he wants to do. But at the moment, we're sticking with a very pragmatic style. When we move away from our style of football that he wants to play, playing out from the back, possession attacking football, having control of the game, when it hasn't worked with the personnel we've had that some of them don't play out from the back football, we get moans about it. But the second we go away from that style, go a bit more pragmatic, go a bit more route one from the back as well, rather than just long balls from the wings, etc. There's still moans about it. It's like he hasn't got the personnel to work with to play the way he wants to play.
Yeah.
But you know, for me, I would have liked to have seen Flynn given a bit more time if he had more of his personnel to work with, because I still think that some players in that Walsall squad I don't think would fit his style long term, and that's why I
But
think next season's important to back a manager with a certain style of football.
You say that, but they were all his players.
That's true. That's true.
They were all his players, and like given that, and you've got the problem is at the end of the season, you've got the likes big earners, Andy Williams, Josh Labadie, Connor Wilkinson, Hayden White, and then Peter Clark, of course. There's a lot of big wages there potentially freed up at the end of the season. So when he's effectively not progressed us in 18 months, would you give him another big budget to do it again?
How many transfer windows did Flynn have?
2, I think.
Right.
Season. You had the Klaus season and then January.
Right. Okay. So that kind of sways it a little bit more for me. I think now I understand how much transfer windows got. I think if he'd had only had, I think if he came in before January and only had the January window, I would have said keep him and give him the summer. I think now I've understood that he's had 2 windows. And to be fair, I don't know. I just something about me just thinks that Flynn needed just that 3rd window, and I think there needs to be more time in English football. Yeah. So, now I've understood it's 2 windows. I think maybe again, it's that whole point of managers. Certain managers fit certain clubs, and maybe Flynn just wasn't the answer for Walsall. So that's why it's so vitally important in the summer when you bring in the next manager to really bring in someone who will fit the ethos and the roots of Walsall, not as a person of where he's come from, etc., but the type of manager he is, the type of football he plays, and the type of personality needs to fit the Walsall ethos. Same with us, to be fair.
Yeah, I think Mike Flynn came in this last season and got us safe and did a good job tidying up. Then about 17 transfers in the summer.
Oh,
and then we had 2 players that were key for us, were Liam Bennett, who really, he'd only played a couple of games for Cambridge, and he arrived really for Walsall and was looking very influential player. And of course, Danny Johnson, Mansfield, absolutely did us a kipper with that. He hadn't really been doing particularly well. He'd fell out with Mansfield, and Walsall tried to buy him. They'd agreed to buy him, and then at the last minute, the Mansfield chairman changed it and said, no, 6 months loan. They'd previously arranged a fee, reportedly about 75 grand.
Jesus.
To buy him. In January, they asked for 225 after he'd scored 15 goals in 30 games.
Jesus. I will go off the bat and say that Danny Johnson is on my summer recruitment list for Rovers, because we need a little bit of an experienced striker in the window to partner with George Miller if we're going to go 2 up front next season. So Danny Johnson is someone who's had a very particular season with both Walsall and Mansfield. I think it's fair to say he's had a particular season. But yeah, again, it's just one of those things where Walsall just need to, like you said, 17 transfers. Like, I think they've had nearly a year, nearly a whole season of trying to gel together. And I think it's that idea of certain players do need a certain amount of time to gel together. So it's important they have to get the right man through the door as a manager in the summer to gel those players for a second season, the ones that are staying anyway.
Yeah.
And again, someone that just fits the Walsall ethos. And like you said, the big wages are going to have to be freed up for a couple of those players. I think Danny Johnson will end up leaving Mansfield anyway. So,
yeah, well, he's out of contract for Mansfield. Mansfield were daft, really. Well, on one side of it, they were daft because he'd got 6 months left of his contract and he'd fell out with the manager, so he was going to be going. But would transferring him to Walsall as a playoff rival have made sense? That would have been crazy. If we'd have made 7th and they'd have made 8th with Danny Johnson's goals, he'd have been crucified as an owner.
It feels like Mansfield entered into a bit of a no-win situation, and they had to sort of choose the lesser of 2 evils in that situation. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, it was a difficult one. I say Doncaster, we sort of touched on very early. George Miller for us. If I describe George Miller for us, he was full of running, tended to make a lot of fouls when he's up against a centre half. When the ball's coming through, he'd give away a lot of fouls, which for a fairly for not a great big guy was sort of a bit weird, really. And he scored a lot of braces when he scored for us. Like, he'd get a goal, he'd get another one, but then he went a long period with no goals. How does that compare to George Miller?
Literally, I think at least 4 out of those 5 have come true. He does a lot of running. He's gone a huge period without any goals. He, I believe, has had at least a couple of braces this season, if I'm not mistaken. He can put some big tackles in if needed. He never stops running. He wears his heart on his sleeve every single game. But it's just the consistency with George. And now he's injured for the rest of the season. So in his debut year at Rovers, I would probably give him maybe a 6 out of 10, maybe. I think, look, don't get me wrong, he's had more goals than the majority of the squad from last year that got relegated, which is probably progress. Just seems like we're going to be recruiting 2 up front next year. So I would like an experienced hold-up striker to be brought in with Miller when he recovers. So we've got Miller on one side, a hold-up striker on the other side, whether that's Danny Johnson or someone that I've been scouting is a guy called A2 Vatanen from St. Johnstone, who's on loan at Linfield at the moment. He's someone that I want to be looking at in the summer. We're monitoring the situation of Ethan Laidlaw, the 18-year-old from Hibernian, who's very much a Miller-type forward. So I think if you have Miller and Laidlaw, for example, and maybe Jack Goodman from the academy as a third option on one side, and then you have Chall and Lavery and
Keelan Lavery, he was one of ours as well.
Yeah, he's injured for the rest of the season now as well. I don't think he had a more consistent run of games to really give him a chance, but I thought he looked average at times, not too good in my opinion. But I think, again, I'm going to give him another season just to see how he develops. But if you have, for example, Miller, Laidlaw and Goodman as a pecking order on one side, and then Lavery and either Vatanen or Danny Johnson on another side, that would be a solid striking option in my opinion. Or you bring in a loan option as a lone target man from the Premiership academies or the Championship. So, Miller for me, I think it's been a 6 out of 10 at the moment. I'm hoping next season will be better with either an experienced hold up or another pressing forward or a mobile striker next to him next season.
Was he pretty much playing one up front again then?
Yeah, Schofield was pretty much a one up front. I don't think it's going to be for the next season, though. I think next season we are going to expect 2 up front. I'll be surprised if we don't, from what I've been hearing from multiple different people. I'd expect 2 up front next season. I think it's only been 1 up front for the rest of this season because of the personnel we've had to work with. And I think Schofield's thinking is not really about trying to get playoffs this year, which from a long-term perspective, I can kind of get from a bigger picture point of view, because I think he's trying people in certain positions, see who works, see who doesn't work, stick with the formation he's had this season. And then those who don't work can go, and then adapt the people that do work into a 2 up front formation next season, whether that be 3-5-2 and stick with the 3 at the back, or you go 4-4-2, the classic formation. So I think Schofield's really testing and experimenting for the rest of the season to see what happens going into a proper season next season. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how George Miller does with somebody alongside him. When he was playing for Walsall, Matt Taylor pretty much was playing one up front. And that was Matt Taylor's undoing, really, because he was exposed too often, not enough support with him, and Matt Taylor continually stuck as one up front with it when it wasn't working. And
the thing about Schofield for me this season, if I could give him some improvement in terms of a manager, is very much plan A and no plan B. He sticks to one
you
formation.
get that a lot in League Two, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's the majority of League Two. You'll get very much a plan A, but very less of a plan B, because plan A either works or it's just something you've got to stick with the personnel you've got. Yeah. So Schofield for me is just sticking with that for the rest of this season. If he does that next season and it still doesn't work and he still doesn't change it, that's when I'll start getting worried. And like I've always said about Schofield, my judgment month is October, when the rolling contracts stop being paid, and we're in a position to let Schofield go if it hasn't been good enough, if he has got the backing to make it good enough.
Yeah. The for Walsall, obviously 4 years now, 4 seasons in League Two, is smarting a little bit. And under Flynn, the football was too much hoofball, really. Traditionally, Walsall have been a very good passing side. And perhaps, as you mentioned, really, in League Two, get knocked about a bit sometimes. But it's the heart of the team should be passing football with a bit of grit, sort of thing. But just keep lumping the ball up top. It's like, it's difficult to watch, really. Particularly if you're winning every game 1-0, then it's a bit of a laugh, isn't it? But I mean, when the results turn, you look at other things like the style of play, and it's like,
well, even under McSheffrey, we were never known for playing good football. You know, we just sort of scraped results. And that, to be fair, that unbeaten start at the start of the season for us was kind of what saved us from finishing lower than we are going to finish this season. But it's still our lowest finish in 20 years. And like you were saying, Walsall's main ethos is very much passing football with a bit of grit. So that, for me, would be the kind of philosophy that I'd be looking at if I was Walsall's owners looking for a new manager. And there's been names that have popped up in the bookies and names that have popped up in reports. And I think the two that I think, if you back them properly, could be smart choices are either Danny Cowley or Kevin Phillips. And the reason why I say Kevin Phillips is because people will go, yes, he's an experience. Yes, he's this and that. He's just won promotion with South Shields. He knows what grit means in non-league. He's an EFL legend. He knows what it takes to win on the pitch. He knows how to win a trophy off the pitch, or bear it, the Northern Premiership. You back a manager like that with the talent and the financial resources that are, in my opinion, just as good, if not better, than South Shields, in my opinion. So you give a manager that and biggest resources to work with, he may recruit bigger talent. Danny Cowley, again, another name that's known for his possession, his passing.
And Artell as well. Artell is the other one in the frame.
Again, Artell's someone that I want. If Schofield was to leave at the end of the season, that's someone I want as manager. Knows how to build sides, works with the academy, brings through a long-term side rather than just a short-term side. He knows how to sell on the products and make them sellable assets long-term. And then it's all about how the club reinvests that money into the next generation of talent and the next sellable assets, etc. So Artell knows how to build a project. Cowley knows how to build a project. And in my opinion, I think Kevin Phillips could be backed to build a project.
Well, the biggest problem with, one of the big problems with Walsall, obviously, other than the league position, is the development from the youth team has just disappeared. And there's nothing coming through. And that needs sorting.
I remember.
Kevin Phillips.
I remember Walsall.
The thing is, you expect in lower leagues, you expect players to be coming through, and all of the pretty much all of the first team or the first year professionals have all been released.
I don't get it.
One lad's got a 6-month contract; the rest have been released.
Yeah, I don't really get it because, I remember when Walsall had their sort of younger up-and-coming players like your Sawyers, your Lalkovic's, your Ismail, and I could see a Walsall side
Jamie Patterson, typical example.
Yeah.
Came through under Dean Smith and has had a very good career. Matty Fryatt as well, Will Grigg.
Yeah, I mean, a few years ago, Walsall to me looked like a side that were really going to build on the talent that they had and really progress further. But as soon as that talent got sold on, that started for me the disappearance of that kind of youth bridge. And you look at us this season, yes, we've had a poor season overall because we haven't achieved what we wanted to achieve, which was try and obtain a respectable finish. Yes, I was betting on us getting promoted again, but at the back of my mind as the season went on, it looked less and less likely. So I thought, okay, let's get a respectable finish. We haven't, in my opinion, because we're in the bottom half and it's our lowest in 20 years. But one of the positives is the breakthrough of younger talent. Bobby Faulkner, who's shown time and time again that he's a no-nonsense centre-back with a bright future as a future Rovers captain. Tavonga Kulea is a winger, a very skillful, pacey winger that I expect to break through hopefully next season, not season after. Jack Goodman has shown signs of energy in the couple of games and the few games that he's had appearances in towards the back end of this season with the injuries we've had. So again, that's another player we need to build on. And I said this in a tweet not too long ago. look at Lincoln City, how there's 7 academy graduates in that first team that they've developed over the last few years. And
it's not rocket science, is it?
No, they're in the top half of League One now under a manager like Mark Kennedy, who I think I've got confidence they're going to push forward now next season. So I think that
you've got to
we have to take the
develop
Lincoln example. We have to take the Lincoln example and move that forward with the likes of Faulkner, Kulea, Goodman. I think Walsall needs to do that as well.
Yeah, you've got to develop the youth. There's one player that we've been sort of championing for a chance. Ronan Mayer goes by the name of Ram, and he's been playing in the under-18s and not really getting a sniff of the first team. He actually got a cameo against Crystal Palace, I think it was, in pre-season. Did very well. He even played against Leicester in the Cup. But other than that, he's hardly figured at all in the team. And he's been rattling them in the reserves, keep scoring. And he's just not... I'm not suggesting he should have been starting games, but I think he should have been given 15, 20-minute cameos. And when the chance of playoffs has gone, you think that's the time, bring him in. And he's just
literally... I think injuries forced our hand in terms of the younger stars we've been giving chances to in the back end of the season when playoffs was out of our reach officially. But if I was, let's say the manager next season is going to be either Danny Cowley or Kevin Phillips, if I was Danny or Kevin, I would be giving that youth a chance. I would be giving those youth a chance in pre-season.
Well, there's only Ronan Mayer of players that are near the first team. Ronan Mayer is the only one that's remaining. The rest have all been released.
Well, I'd be working with if I were Walsall, I'd be working with the youth academy and I'd be looking at bringing in more under 21, under 18 scholars. I'd be looking at bringing more of those academy talent through, and I'd be looking at giving them a bridge and have it. And I think the important thing for the academy and the first team is to have a close relationship with each other. You can't distance that relationship anymore because that at the end of the day gives you a pathway.
Matt Taylor and Mike Flynn neither of them have paid any attention to the youth.
That's what I've noticed as well. As a neutral, I've noticed that.
It's just now good. You mentioned Kevin Phillips. I was thinking, inexperienced and that sort of thing. But then I heard some of the detail about South Shields. Over the last 5 years, South Shields had finished second in the top 2 in the division for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
During COVID, they finished 5th. But they were the only full-time team in the division with way more resources than anybody. They're effectively got the resources of Manchester City playing in League One.
Jesus.
So to win the league, albeit by 12 points, is not that impressive. You still need to do it and still need to win the league. But I think people just look at the detail and say, "Oh, we won the league by 12 points. Yeah, give them a go." You look into the detail; it's like it's not quite as rosy as it's painted.
And to be fair, there have been reports from South Shields fans that Kevin, I think, maybe wasn't as, I don't know, involved in other stuff around the club. I think he was kind of there to do a job.
Again, you're right there. South Shields fans were saying he didn't get involved with the youth team, was not the slightest bit interested in the reserves. And that's another...
Could Matt Taylor, could that be a risk for Walsall's youth?
Yeah, that's right. And the South Shields fans weren't disappointed he's gone.
Yeah. I think they were more happy with Julio Arca becoming the manager, who, by the way, congratulations, Julio, from all of us.
Yeah.
I think they were more happy with Julio coming back in than Kevin going. To be brutally honest, I expect Kevin to either get a job in League Two or I expect him to go and be a coach at a championship club, either an academy or a senior coaching staff, maybe John Eustace's coaching staff or something like that.
I think before he got the job there, Walsall had offered him a striker coaching role for Walsall, and I think he turned it down. That's not a fact. That's a rumor. But But it's like if that wasn't good enough for you, then sorry. But I mean, we need that Cowley Artell kind of guy who's going to develop the club and bring players through. Because
I think with the news about the news that came out from Tranmere today about Ian Dawes becoming permanent manager from his caretaker position, that could potentially open the door for Brian Barry Murphy as well.
Well, Brian Barry Murphy, we talked about him, and he's very much similar to Matt Taylor in some ways because he's been with the Premier League youngsters, but he's got the experience of what he did at Rochdale. So, and somebody, a Tranmere Rovers guy, put a message on Insta that he was going to be announced as their manager. I retweeted it just as we found out that actually it was wrong.
Literally, I saw that come up on my Twitter feed, and I was like, "Wow, that's going to be an interesting appointment if it's true." And I'm seeing things being said, and I'm like, and I was seeing one Tranmere account put like, oh, there's going to be a post from like Man City or something like that saying that Brian Murphy's taking his final game with the under-23s ahead of this announcement.
Yeah.
And then when I saw the Ian Dawes news came up, I sent that message to a Donny fan who likes Brian Barry Murphy and wants him as our manager. And I'm like, BBM is still an option because, but Tranmere basically did a Doncaster Rovers. They appointed the caretaker manager like we appointed Gary McSheffrey. Who, don't get me wrong, Gary McSheffrey's got a future as a coach. I think maybe the job was just too soon. I think it was just too soon with us. But Tranmere basically did a Donny and appointed the caretaker manager, which, whether that's due to finances, whether that's due to resources, I don't know. But it's a bold move. We'll see what Tranmere do with that. But it does open the door for BBM to either stay at Man City long term or maybe take that job in the Football League again. And Walsall then could become an option along with the likes of Swindon.
Yeah. Mike Flynn has been touted towards Swindon.
Good luck, Swindon. That'd be an interesting appointment. I think after what happened with Walsall this season, I think that would be an interesting appointment, and we'll see how the Swindon fans react to that.
Yeah, so I think it wouldn't excite people too much, and it's Swindon a very stylish attacking team.
Yeah, and, I mean, to be fair, we've been rumored about a new manager next season as well. Like we've been in the reports a couple of times about Grant McCann coming back, and I personally don't believe it at all. I personally believe Schofield's our manager next season, and he will be back in the summer. Well, he should be back in the summer, but I don't know. But we were rumored a couple of times this past few weeks that Grant McCann were coming back.
Right then, we move on to the game tomorrow. I think the result tomorrow is not sort of. I think we're both struggling for form, and I don't think the result matters really.
I think it'll be the last game of the season on the EFL show on ITV. I think it'll probably be the last result shown, probably.
0-0, probably.
It definitely will be the last game shown if it's 0-0.
Looking at the current table, that's still a bit spicy. I have been running an EFL predictions league. Northampton, we know what happened to Northampton last season. I don't know whether you recall. Where Bristol Rovers won 7-0 or something to
they beat Scunny as well, our rivals. So I was buzzing with that.
But
I'm
Northampton,
glad that Scunny's all right now. By the way, I am glad that Scunny's all right now. Better. I know they're still in a bit of a mess, but I'm glad that Scunny's
got relegation again. I mean, they're Scunthorpe.
Yeah, they got relegation. I'm kind of happy they got their ownership situation sorted a lot more than they were. So I'm kind of glad on that part, but I'm glad they got beat.
Northampton. If they don't get a point at Tranmere, Stockport are going to push them into the playoffs.
And Stockport host Hartlepool, and Tranmere are just on that new manager bounce with their caretaker becoming permanent. So I think that's going to be interesting. And to be fair, Northampton lost out on automatics away from home. It's just written. It's just written.
And then Mansfield, we thought Mansfield were out of it, and then Bradford went and lost to Crewe.
I still think Mansfield are out of it. I personally.
No, you say that. You know, Bradford have got Saturday.
Who they got Saturday?
They're at home to Leyton Orient.
To be fair, though, Stockport did beat Leyton Orient at their own ground 3-0 because they still have something to play for. You know what? I think this could be one of the weakest coronations in the last couple of games for Orient because they're going to lose the last couple of games. But who's Mansfield got on the Monday?
Mansfield, let me Colchester, I think.
See, Colchester, like I said, they're a physical team, and they could take care of anyone on any given day. And Mansfield are in a bit of a. I won't say they're in a. I won't say Mansfield are in a rock.
Colchester away.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say Mansfield are in a rot, but I expect Mansfield to be in a bit of a situation here, because if they don't make the playoffs, they may not give Nigel Clough that third year. If they do make it in the playoffs and fail again, that could be the warrant for Clough getting another year. But, like I said, Colchester are a very physical team. They're a Route 1 team. They take advantage of set pieces. And Mansfield, to be fair, haven't defended set pieces very well this season. So I would expect Colchester to maybe pull out a result there, or Mansfield win, but Bradford win as well. But again, I also wouldn't be surprised if Bradford just run out of steam this year, but become one of the favourites next season.
Yeah, got you. Right then, you have a very good channel. I think you've got a bit of a plug, haven't you?
So the CHALL, we do League 2 content. We're doing much more sports content as well. I would just say at this moment in time, stay tuned, because next season is going to be a massive, I wouldn't say rebrand, but definitely a facelift. We're having a massive facelift for next season. We are getting in touch with loads of different people. We've got some huge plans for next season. We've got a facelift of the brand of the channel. We've got a whole business look to it. It's going to be huge season next season for me personally. It's been a great season this season for me, and I thank everybody for the support, etc. If you are watching this, that do watch the channel, I do appreciate the support. So the CHALL, we're on the road at the moment to 3,000 subscribers and 500,000 views. So it'd be great to get there before the end of the season.
Brilliant. Right then, thanks for coming on. That's been good. And this season, you understand what I mean by the joy and the pain.
We've suffered that for 2 seasons, let alone 1.
Right then, Walsall Fan TV, thanks for watching. Join the pain.
Now.
Nice one. Cheers.